So the next thing to do is get this object into Messiah where we can apply PuppetMaster to it. We'll start first by exporting this raptor. So highlight the raptor, go to File. We're going to export selected as an OBJ, and we'll call it Raptor2. Press the spacebar to deselect it. Now we're going to duplicate this object. Click on the triangle icon to make sure it's selected. Right click and duplicate. And this object we're going to tear up. We're going to hide our original raptor. In our raptor copy, we're going to go to the select menu. We're going to select by material edges, which will find the boundary line between all of our materials and select the edges around it, just like it says. From there, just right click and in the mouse menu execute loop cut, which will cut them into our PuppetMaster clusters. Tap the spacebar, and if you're in object mode, you can just run your mouse across where all of the objects are sitting. You can see they've all been split correctly. From here, everything that says Raptor Copy and Raptor Cut, select. We'll right mouse click and select everything below our selection. Let's go to File and export selected as an OBJ. We're going to call this one PM_Raptor2. Let's head into Messiah. Let's go to File. We're just going to save this scene. And from here, check to make sure we're still in the PuppetMaster directory. Go to File and load the object from the Objects folder PM_Raptor2. We're only loading the Raptor cluster version so we can see the different objects that we split out. Click into Setup. We'll switch to a left view. And we're going to use meta effectors to cut up this mesh. Remember, it's all one model file, so we need to have a way to tell Messiah that each separate mesh on this model is a separate object inside the cluster. So click to the Tools tab, and we're going to select Meta Effector from the pull-down menu. Click on the plus button to add that. Go back into Items. And under the Meta Effector tab, click Add Effector, which will add an actual field that influences the mesh. Highlight Meta Effector, hold down the Control key, and select PM_Raptor, our object. Click to the Weight list and add items to Weight drawing list. Close the new item block so we have some room here. So you can see that our effector field is visible inside the mesh. Click to the Effector tab. Set the field of influence to all connected. That means all polygons that are within the range of this object will search for all of the other connected polygons and assign them all the same weight. You want to set the decay 0.01 just to be sure that we get everything, and set the radius to 0.1 on X, Y, and Z. So it's nice and small. Drag this one over to the front of the head. We're going to call this first effector Wrapped, which is the name of our character, Head ME for Meta Effector. While this is highlighted, tap the multiply key on the keypad, which will duplicate the object in its place. Go down to the weight list, check to make that the current draw mode, select the next effector, and just move it down to the jaw. Call this one Jaw ME. While the meta effector is highlighted, multiply that so it's another object. Check the weight drawing list, take this effector, position it over the tongue. Tap the A key to zoom our selection. Now if you want it more in on the tongue, you'll see that the size is too big. Just alter the Y radius, 0.05. You can position this effector just like any other object, so you can fit it into tight spots. Rename this one Wrapped_Tongue ME. Let's go back to jaw, let's multiply that. Check to make it the active draw mode. Move this over to the neck so the neck's highlighted. Do Wrapped Neck ME. Multiply that again. Check to make draw mode active. Grab the meta effector, move it over to the back. Call this one Body Emmy. Multiply that one. Check to make draw mode active. Select the effector. Position it on the tail. Tail Emmy. Let's multiply that one. Make the draw weight active. Grab the meta effector and position it down by the legs. You see it's not showing up and highlighting. It's because it's in the middle and it's not touching any mesh. Just move it along X till one part of the mesh highlights. And press the divide key on the keypad to mirror across. So now both are selected and they're part of the same meta effector. So they'll both be part of the same group. Rename this one Legs ME. Let's go back to a left view. We'll duplicate that. And we have two meta effectors in this next group. Make sure the meta effector is selected. Activate the waitlist. Control key and select both of the effectors underneath it, and select the multi-edit key down at the bottom right, or tap E on the keyboard. That way you can move both of them at once. Position those on the arms. We'll call this wrapped_arms Emmy. Duplicate those. Set the draw mode. Multi-select both of those, drag those down to the fingers. Wrapped_hands Emmy. Let's go back to the legs. Duplicate that set. Make the draw weights active. Multi-select both of these weights and move them down. And position them on top of the feet. Let's switch to a perspective view here. When we cut out our sections in wings, each of these objects was treated as a different section. It's because they're not connected through the leg. Our foot actually ends after the toes are separated. So we'll just select one of these effectors and delete it. We'll multiply another one so it's on top of the current selected meta effector and position it over the extra toe. And switch to a front view. Let's multiply this one again. We'll position that over the claw, little thumb claw. Switch to a left view. Move it so it's positioned correctly. And all three of these, if you multi-select those, just mirror them across with the divide key so they all have the same weight now. We'll call this one Toes ME. So this is all the setup we really need for this character. If we need to alter the assignments on the other clusters, we can go back into Wings, change the material assignments, then split out the object again and save it over this one. To double check that we have all of our weights assigned, let's highlight PM_Raptor2. Let's go to the Effects tab. We're going to do a test with Xform. Add Xform to the Raptor. See, a null will show up with an Xform effect underneath it. Use this null to move an object around. We'll just move it up on Y, out on Z. Go back to Xform. There's a weight option under Xform that lets you specify a weight that this null will move around. We'll start with the head and click into Animate. So when we grab the null and move it around, only the head moves along. So we know that the meta effector has successfully split out the mesh belonging to the head. You can go back to Xform and just change the weight assignment to the jaw, and you see the jaw pops over there, and the tongue, and the neck, and the body. Can't see the tail, but you know it's separated. Legs, toes, arms, hands. So we know it works. Let's highlight this null, delete it from the scene. Let's go to File. We're going to save this scene into the Scenes folder called PuppetMaster8.fxs.